Peace, peace.
Hey.
What's up, you guys? It's Ariam
And Yodit.
And you're tuned in to deuxsol Radio.
That's right, your favorite twins are back talking all things music and culture.
Because two takes are better than one, but twin takes are even better.
better.
And we're back with another episode. This weekend, Yodit and I sat down and watched the 2023 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony. And it was on Disney+. It was about 2 hours long, and I sat and watched the whole thing. And I truly enjoyed it. I was in awe of the talent and impact that these inductees all had in these decade-spanning careers.
For us as music heads, it's always really exciting to watch this kind of content. We'll watch documentaries, we'll watch specials, we'll watch all of these things that really highlight somebody's career. But with something like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it is such a huge honor in the music industry to be celebrated at this capacity. Just getting to watch all of these people that we've admired all of these years get honored was really, really exciting. And then, of course, doing a deep dive on their career highlights.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, there were so many amazing inductees just this year alone. Some included George Michael, Willie Nelson. Rage Against the Machine was also an inductee this year, which is really cool because it was just nice to see the diversity of sound and artistry.
They had Bernie Taupin, who was also inducted, and it was interesting to see him there because he's always known as Elton John's right-hand man, right? He was his songwriter and longtime music collaborator, and without him, without Bernie, we wouldn't have these songs that have been the soundtrack to so many people's lives. And I'm glad that he got his flowers, you know? It was a really beautiful moment. And Elton John did his introduction. And to see their decades-long friendship in that moment and how proud Elton was of Bernie, it was a really beautiful moment. And a lot of people had very amazing things to say about all the inductees. All their introductions were super special. And how they tied into their relationship, their personal relationships.
And it wasn't only just musical artists that were being honored. There was other people that had other hands in music and music culture that were being honored that night, including DJ Kool Herc, who's considered a founding father of the hip-hop genre and culture. And seeing him be honored in such a beautiful way, especially given the fact that this year is the 50th anniversary of the hip-hop genre. And just to see him really get his flowers and be recognized on this global stage was huge. And then, of course, having LL Cool J present his award to him was really, really special. We didn't even go through the full list. I mean, there were so many people that were honored this year. But we just want to talk about some of our highlights, our personal highlights from the night. Starting off with Sheryl Crow. Yes, Sheryl Crow. Listen, okay, I don't care what anyone says. I love me some Sheryl Crow.
I do.
Okay, she's had a long, almost 30-plus year career in music. She's a singer-songwriter. Her sound has transcended rock, country, pop even. Her way of storytelling has always been celebrated, and a lot of artists have always admired that about her, and she's, interestingly enough, really interconnected with a lot of artists in the industry. To hear how she got her start as a backup singer for Michael Jackson at first. And then, she was a backup singer and she got her start in the industry that way. And then they finally saw her potential and she really blew up as a solo artist. So just kind of hearing, her being honored and Laura Dern giving a meaningful and thoughtful introduction to her was really beautiful.
She's still inspiring artists like Olivia Rodrigo, and they were able to share the stage together and perform some of their, some of her amazing songs. If it makes you happy,
I know. It aged really well.
So well.
And now that you're older, you get the lyrics a lot more. We would hear it growing up, but it wouldn't really hit in the way that you feel now as an adult. So it's just interesting, even revisiting those songs.
First Cut is the deepest.
Listen, I heard that at a CVS the other day, and I literally was in my feelings.
It's crazy because when we were younger, when we were kids, I was like, oh, I love this song, but she's literally talking about heartache. And I'm like, this is deep.
I know.
Literally deep, right?
To see her perform with Stevie Nicks, two rock legends on stage, was so powerful.
Stevie Nicks is still doing it.
Listen, that voice is in mint condition.
Yeah.
They sounded great.
Yeah.
You would have thought this was 20 years ago. Like they both sounded amazing on stage, and just to see them do their thing was really, really special.
Another artist that was also recognized was Kate Bush. Everyone is familiar with Kate Bush because of the resurgence of popularity of her song Running Up That Hill, because it was featured in Stranger Things. I definitely was one of those people that fell in love with her all over again. They were going through her discography, and I had like, I don't know if I want to call it like a dumb moment, or I just was completely unaware of this fact, but I used to think that Maxwell's, this woman's work, was his song, and he created it and he wrote it, and that was always attached to Maxwell. And then as they were doing her package, I hear that first note. That first note that I thought was Maxwell was Kate Bush. And I was like, what?
It's technically a cover.
My whole world shifted when I had that moment.
It was really interesting because Big Boy did her introduction. It just goes to show that music can touch anybody. And when he explains why he's even there, because he's very self-aware in this moment when he walks up on the stage. He's, I know what y'all are thinking.
What does Big Boy
have to do with Kate Bush?
Right.
But he's a fan, like a full-blown fan of her music, and grew up listening to her, and has always been a fan of hers, and has literally even mentioned that he wanted to collaborate with her, and they actually have their own relationship.
Yeah.
So it was really beautiful to see how music transcends identity, it transcends upbringing, it transcends everything. Something else y'all should know about us is that we are George Michael fans, and seeing Miguel cover Careless Whisper,
he sounded so good.
First of all, George Michael's voice was so beautiful and very versatile. He had so much soul in his voice, and even before Careless Whisper went viral on TikTok, it was always one of those songs that really hit. Like that was like his ballad that really showed that
the saxophone intro.
I know, iconic. And it just showed that George Michael was destined for greatness in the music world. And Miguel, on the other hand, has a stunning voice. And, I didn't think about who would do a tribute performance for George Michael. Like, I wasn't thinking of anyone in particular. But once Miguel walked on a stage, I knew he was going to deliver.
Yeah.
His voice just glided over the melodies. That was a great choice for whoever made that happen. I'm very happy about that. So in addition to those artists, another group that was honored that night was the Spinners, which I was very, very happy about, right? Because when we think about those iconic singing groups from the 60s and 70s, you think about the Temptations, the Miracles, a lot of those Motown artists come to mind. But you have to include the Spinners in that upper echelon of singing groups because they had such an impact, not just on music, but on culture at large. They had such beautiful, soulful sounds and harmonies, and they were so captivating on stage. And that alone made them well-deserving of their place in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
They talked about how they originally signed to Motown, but like you said, there were so many groups that they were kind of pushed in the back burner, and they ended up leaving and getting signed to Atlantic Records. And that's the label that Aretha Franklin was on. They have a huge roster at the time.
Yeah.
And these producers, they took a chance on them, and they were able to come up with these amazing songs. Like, Could It Be I'm Falling in Love? They had Rubber Band Man
or I'll Be There. Like, they've had so many hits. They've had hit after hit after hit. Whether you've seen them perform on Soul Train, whether you've heard it on the radio or your parents playing it at home, or even in your favorite TV show or movie, you've heard the Spinners. And they've literally been the backdrop of American and global culture.
New Edition, they performed a medley of their songs. And of course, New Edition were influenced by the Spinners. And so was Boyz II Men and all of these amazing groups that came after them. We must talk about the one, the only, Miss Chaka Khan.
I know.
First of all, when I saw that she
every time I say her name, I always think about Whitney saying her name in her version of I'm Every Woman. She's always like Shaka Khan.
The ad libs.
Like, I can't. Yes. I always hear that whenever someone says her name.
But yes, exactly. Like the late great Whitney said. You know, first of all, when we were watching it, the first thing that came to mind was why is she just now getting inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
It's criminal. It's actually criminal.
To me, when I think about Shaka and her sound and her style, you cannot box her in any genre. Mm-hmm. She can give you soul, funk, disco, jazz, you know, and pop, rock, you know, like she can give you anything that your ear desires, really. And I just figured if someone were to be inducted, it would be her. Mm-hmm. Her voice is essentially an instrument.
It really is.
Like she can blow these notes and you don't even know where the notes are going, but they always land.
Yes.
And
exactly.
It just makes you trust her every time she sings. We love Shaka. I mean, her songs are timeless. Through the Fire, I'm Every Woman.
Ain't Nobody.
Ain't Nobody. When I hear that song, it does something to me. I don't know if it's when the production, the beat, the build of the song.
It's the build.
It's like
it's the build.
You know it's coming, and it's just it's pure joy.
I know.
It is. It is
so good. Like, and it was so innovative for the time that it still feels fresh today. And of course, it's her voice, you know, like you said, Ariam, it is an instrument, and she's been sampled so many times because she's so talented.
She was able to perform some of her amazing hits with her, and Jasmine Sullivan was the one that did her introduction.
Yes. And it was just cool to see the older generation and the younger generation
bridge
on one stage like that. I think that's always a really cool part of these tributes.
This ceremony not only recognized artists, but people that were impactful in music and culture. And I just love that they recognized Don Cornelius and his impact with Soul Train. As music lovers ourselves and creating a platform around music and culture, when I think about some of the greats, I think about him. As I was watching his package, I didn't even realize that he was one of the first Black men to EP a show, you know, executive produce a show. I didn't even know that he broke barriers in that way behind the scenes as well. It was the place for music discovery.
I know.
Specifically for Black artists, you know, Aretha Franklin, Jackson 5,
Marvin Gaye, Smokey Robinson, and it transcended decades. They did a beautiful job of creating a safe space for Black expression. Even when you think about the tradition of the Soul Train line, putting that on national television and exposing it to the world in that way, we just had a weigh-in. You know, like when you see all those compilation clips of different episodes, you see like the through line within every episode was safety and joy. It was really beautiful to see the connection between Black culture and music captured forever. Another thing that I just always loved about Don Cornelius is that he had this level of cool that will never be replicated.
Seriously.
Like his energy, like you cannot buy that.
The voice
was just mesmerizing.
The voice was attached to the identity of the show.
And the people loved it.
I knew that I really wanted to watch the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremony because I knew that one person was going to be inducted for certain, and they saved the best for last. Missy Elliott.
Missy Misdemeanor Elliott. Let's just take a moment to take that in. When you think about Missy Elliott, her excellence cannot be contained.
Right.
Because anything you can think of, she's done it.
Any idea you've had, you've probably subconsciously been inspired by something that she's done. Because she was giving you what you never thought you could think of.
Yes.
Period.
What you never thought you needed.
Like sometimes I think about everything that she's touched sonically, visually, choreography, fashion. Imagine having a little bit of access into her brain.
Yeah.
What would that look like? because she was so beyond her years.
Yes.
And I don't think anyone can really touch her. Yeah. And if they do, they're inspired by her.
Period.
And so for her to be recognized is very significant because she was the first female rapper in history to be inducted, which is crazy, on the 50th anniversary of hip hop.
She's an artist in every form. I mean, like you said, Ariam, no stone left unturned. Like, seriously, I mean, her songwriting capabilities, her production skills.
And we talked about her in a past episode, but what we've always really appreciated about her is how genuinely supportive she's always been to artists on the rise, specifically Black female artists. I think that's really important to note because she always paved the way, always contributed, always lent her skills in songwriting, production, vocals even in the background. I feel like she's always been such a giving person that she is now getting the shine in this massive way. For her to close out the show, it had the most energy, the most visuals, theatrics out of all the performances that night.
I mean, listen, they saved the best for last. And again, she still got it. And with that level of creative foresight, you're always going to be making hits.
This is what I love about moments like this and awards like this is like opportunities to learn more about your favorite artists. And during her speech, she talked about how she didn't know she wanted to be an artist herself, and she thought maybe I want to be a record label owner.
In her speech, she says, Sylvia, Roan, and Marilyn, I have to say to them, I didn't want to be an artist. I wanted a record label, and they told me if I gave them one album that they would give me a record label. So I told Timberland, let's do this album really quick so I can get this record label. And we did it in 2 weeks. And from that came Super Duper Fly album. Wow. To think that they put that together in 2 weeks is crazy. 2 weeks? The Rain? Sock It To Me? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
In 2 weeks?
Ever since then, one album became 2 albums, became 3 albums, became hit after hit after hit. I loved her sharing that because it really represents how sometimes you may not see the gift that you have in yourself, but others can see that for you.
Yeah.
And it's always important to surround yourself with genuine people that really see you. Because of that, she's here today being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I know.
It was just like a really well done ceremony. And if you guys want to check it out, you guys can hit Disney Plus and watch it and enjoy it for yourself. So that wraps up today's episode. If you like what you heard, you can keep up with us at DEUXSOL. That's at deuxsol. You can watch us on YouTube, and you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music. If you can hear it, we'll be on it. Until next time, guys. Peace.